I'm TJ Douglas, CEO and co-founder of the Urban Grape.
And I'm Hadley Douglas, and I'm the president and co-founder of the Urban Grape.
A little bit about our family. We have two boys that are 13 and 15 years old. Every once in a while, they'll come in little stamp bags, but they're focusing on their schoolwork and, being great humans.
We also have an amazing dog named Zeus, who is the star of our social media content. Whenever Zeus is in front of a bottle of wine, we always get more likes than if he's not there. So can't forget Zeus. Well, I was honestly kind of dragged into this business, and I was home on maternity leave when TJ had the idea to open a completely different type of wine store, one that was really based on hospitality and concierge service. And he just believed that, the world could be the way that the world interacted with buying wine could be completely different. And I don't know, I jumped on for the ride, planned to stay for a couple months to help you get it going.
Tried to quit many times over the last 11 years.
Between 500,000 and 600,000 times over the last decade. But I think I'm in for good now.
Yeah.
Now that you've given me the good title, the president, I'm staying.
Madam President.
Madam President. And then do you want to talk a little bit about how
I was a dishwasher at age 14 and worked my way up from dishwasher to busboy to server, manager, moved to Boston in 2000. Ran a couple of beverage programs for Todd English and the Aquitaine Group. And I created a progressive wine list for my very seasonal staff on Newbury Street to give them the tools to better sell and understand the wine list. And after that, I worked for a wholesaler and sold wine to stores and restaurants. And I realized that the hospitality that I was trained in and loved giving and providing wasn't there in retail. So I wanted to create not only a mental space, but a physical space where people can come in and understand wine, be welcomed, and really go from just buying a bottle of wine to actually enjoying and encouraging great experiences. And that's where the Urban Grape came from. We opened up our first store in 2010 in a suburb of Boston, Chestnut Hill. Opened up our second and current store here in the South End in 2012. And 2012, this store just absolutely took off, ran it for a couple of years, and then ended up selling our first store to really focus on the growth of just the Urban Grape in the South End. And that really allowed us to do deliveries, have an e-commerce platform. We do a ton of events, and all of that wasn't possible with two locations. So that's where we've been for the last 6 or 7 years, and it's been successful. And we've been able to pivot and reimagine what our business is and what it can be through COVID.
TJ and I were on vacation in Italy, hard fought vacation, both working for other people, had to get the time off, had to get ourselves to Italy. Mm-hmm. And our oldest son was asleep up in a pack and play. And we, opened a bottle of wine, and we were sitting out on this porch overlooking this old town in Italy. And I just happened to say to TJ, well, what's your 5-year plan? Like, what are you thinking? And he was like, here's the business plan. Here's the name here. Thank you for asking, Hadley. Yeah. Here it all is. And then it just took off from there. I mean, when you see someone with that much passion and that ready to go with an idea, you can't say no.
So I taste about 6,000 wines a year. And we put the wine on our progressive scale, which is where the wine is set up and organized by its body, by its viscosity, on a scale of 1 to 10. And people really can find wines that give them pleasure on their palate based on the viscosity and acid levels that we do on the back end. And it's been really great so far. And it's a great way for the consumer to educate themselves without having information shoved down their throat, which is very intimidating. And wine's already scary, right? So we wanted to really build a place where we took the intimidation out of that. I was on this massive Italian kick. And, when I said what I wanted to do for a store, I said, I want to organize it, by body, because it makes sense this way. And she's like, well, what do you think about for a name? And I said, well, I want to call it Il Tavolo, which was in Italian, the table. And obviously it's Urban Grape, but the idea of the table is community, right? You're there in good times, you're in bad times, you welcome people, you can be there by yourself. All of that happens around the table. And so what we've always done, besides trying to, take the intimidation of wine and build access for all through the wine industry, is really help build community through beverage. And that's really the mantra of the Urban Grape.
Over the years, what's so important to always acknowledge is that the customers who walk through the door every single day are our bread and butter. We are a neighborhood shop. We couldn't live without them. We love building those deep relationships with them. But when you think about what moves the needle for our company and what allows us to grow our business, what allows
Grow
us
our
to
ideas as well.
grow our ideas, put money towards innovative ideas for our business, hire more people, increase salaries, things like that. It really is our corporate partnerships that are so vital to the explosion of the Urban Grape over the past few years. And I think that if the mantra of the Urban Grape is to build community through beverage, then the mantra of our corporate partnerships is to build corporate culture through beverage. It's always been events. It's always been corporate events, working with corporations for stakeholder events, for employee events, for new customer events, any kind of event that you can dream. We love to do that.
Even after a board retreat,
exactly.
They want an hour to let their hair down, and coming from me, right? and learn about Cabernet from a Black producer in Northern California, right? Yep. So we can do that.
And then I think what COVID taught us was that we could really expand our offerings into incredible, vivacious, fun, virtual events that could connect people from all over the country to have a glass of wine together, but not just in a awkward virtual happy hour kind of way, which everyone finds uncomfortable, but in a true learning environment, and in a way that encourages discussion, encourages learning, while you're also tasting great wine. And we have a whole variety of virtual events and on-site events that we love, that we love to work with corporations on. And then lastly, corporate gifting is a huge and important part of our company. We do beautiful corporate gifts, not just wine. Whenever possible, we like to also add add-ons, whether it's chocolates from BIPOC or women-owned companies that are local to Boston. That's really important to us too, because we are a very well-known small business. We like to use a little bit of our clout to help spread the wealth, and to make sure that other businesses are also receiving some of this corporate partnership experience.
Yeah, if we can use our platform to bring others up, that's why we have a platform.
Yeah,
and we're very clear and ambitious on that, but also very transparent when we have the conversations with the corporate lead that we're working with. We say, we're using this person because, right? It's very intentional.
We're getting that intentionality back from the big corporations of Boston. They are looking for BIPOC and women-owned businesses to partner with. They're understanding that their money travels locally in such impactful ways, and that you may be needing to send a gift to California, but if you use a local vendor to do that, you're really keeping all of that money and innovation in your hometown, which benefits absolutely everybody.
For some of these larger companies, we might have an actual corporate partnership with them where their employees might get some special treatment from Urban Grape, and then we get the employees to come shop at the Urban Grape, and then all their partners also work for other companies. So that's a great way, word of mouth and experience, to grow our business and to create that great company culture and the greater company culture within our, the company's community.
So Wayfair came to us with a specific problem, and that was that they have so many employees over 2 buildings that are kind of all working on different projects. They're both a furniture company and a logistics company and a tech company, right? There's so many different types of companies all rolled into one, and they felt like the different sides weren't necessarily didn't necessarily know each other. So we helped them install, wine keg machines in their office building. And then we go over there several times a year
Yep.
to do tastings with them, where everyone comes, we're talking about the new wines that are in the keg machines. And we're pouring for them, and we're just chatting with them, and kind of helping build community that way. At the same time, we offered them the ability for their teams, their pods, to come to the Urban Grape for 1 hour on-site educational events, wine tasting events. So their pod will come over, they'll work with one of our sales associates, they'll taste 3 wines. And it's a way for them to just get out of the office for an hour at the end of the day, create some bonds amongst their team. And then through some of the C-suite members of Wayfair, we've also been able to help to build their wine cellars, and to invite them to kind of VIP events with winemakers that are in town. So I feel like they are such a great example, because from the administrative assistant who doesn't know anybody and wants to meet people who just started, all the way up to people in the C-suite, we have been able to capture and create, a connection with so many of the people there. And honestly, the support that Wayfair has given us has just been incredible. And they trust us as a small business to be able to meet their need, which is pretty massive. They know we're going to figure it out for them. And we know we're always going to go and put our best foot forward there. So it's been a really great partnership.
We did a great event with I believe all of the Black executives of Google. And so all of the executives that run all the different facets of Google, whether it's the video content or the music streaming or any of that, Gmail, cloud storage, everyone has their own executive. And I did a whole presentation of really looking at DEI of our world through the lens of a wine glass. And I focused on all Black producers, some from South Africa, some from California, some own their own land, some don't own their own land. And I talked about all of that stuff and related it to just everyday business. And that was an amazing event. And so the discussions that happen during these events are really wonderful. And the discussions that frankly need to happen.
Yeah. You've done those types of events for everyone from littler and local, like Landry's Bicycle Shop, which has
100-year-old company. And they're like, we're not a diverse company, and we need to understand, how do we think a little bit differently, you know?
So TJ's done that for them, all the way up to Google, Converse, Wellington Financial. We really run the gamut on the also schools,
Silicon Valley Bank,
and a lot of
schools,
a lot of private schools in the area, colleges. Also, we'll have TJ come in and
Chamber of Commerce,
and use wine to talk about a kind of a different way to look at and talk about DEI.
After Black Lives Matter marches here in Boston, there was, I'd say that our flashlight as a company turned into a spotlight. And, I turned into, how does it feel to be a Black business owner? Over time, I got really, not even frustrated, but just angry. I'm like, okay, enough questions about being a Black wine shop owner. How about just being a wine shop owner? How about being a great business person that happens to be Black and talking about this? And there was so much focus on the color of my skin for this really short period of time. And so the hardest challenge for me was to take that, to understand that this dialogue needs to happen, but really change my own narrative of this and speak on that. And I think I've been successful personally, being able to take what needs to happen, or take the conversation that needs to happen in my own words, with my own experience, right? We all have our own experiences, but if someone's, paying to listen to mine, right? And talking about that on a regular and getting comfortable with that, that's really been the biggest challenge for me.
I think that there has been a little bit of evening out that's happened, in which TJ is now being seen as someone who had a different path and a different experience into the wine world. Yes, because as a Black man, he wasn't able to get the wine education, take the classes, those doors just weren't open to him. He had to create his own path. But I think we are starting to see now that he's being looked at as like a refreshing an interesting voice in wine, not just a Black voice in wine.
Right.
And in many ways, you can't separate the two, but in more ways, I think that the focus has now been on like how you are able to connect to all sorts of new and established wine drinkers and get them to think about wine in a different way, because you didn't come along the expected path of it that everyone else did.
And I've been doing this for 25 years now.
So the value is there now, as opposed to just like, well, you're Black in wine, so tell us that, you know. So that's
given us the opportunity to start the Urban Grape Wine Studies Award for Students of Color at Boston University, which is the one-year education course that we've been able to endow at Boston University, and then a four-pronged approach to, you know, really bringing getting these students to come out with an amazing network and opportunity, so they're not pigeonholed into working in one part of the industry. There's working at the Urban Grape for retail. There's in a restaurant with Row 34, MS Walker for wholesaling and importing, and then going out to Sonoma for 3 months and working not only in the vineyards, but also in the winery with winemakers and learning how to make wine. So when they come out of this program at, you know, 14, 16 months or so, they're going to have a deeper Rolodex than the two of us combined, and they get to choose how they want to change the industry, because they've had a taste of all sides of the industry, which is really wonderful. Wine is for everyone is the one thing that everyone doesn't know, right? That wine is for me, wine is for you, whether you grow up in a wine growing area or not. That's one part of it, but also that the wine industry itself touches so many different businesses throughout the world. Just to name a few, obviously agriculture, right? Because it's farming, but it also works with tourism and hospitality. It works with travel, but it also works with logistics companies. It works with tech companies for data, import, export. Production of chemicals to make glasses, right, has a big effect on immigration status of new Americans coming in, right? Because a lot of the workers, at least on the West Coast, they might be first generation and newly documented. And some of these great wineries, small and large, are helping them work through the, unfortunately, you know, deathly slow process of, you know, finding their American dream. And so, you know, wine can do that. And I think that's something that people don't realize, that wine really touches all parts of the world as well.
Absolutely.
We're at theurbangrape.com or .shop. You can find us on social media at Urban Grape everywhere. And then our physical location, if you can't come to us, we can deliver or get the wine to you, is at 303 Columbus Avenue in Boston South End. We're right around the corner from Copley and Back Bay Station. We're open 7 days a week.
Yep. And we also, if you're online and you're feeling nervous about how to shop online or something is confusing, we have the ability to text us while you're shopping at 857-250-2509. And we'll be right there to help you talk through selections.
Yeah. It's not really us though, it's our staff. It's our team that's with us.
Can't lie to you. It was us.
It was us.
But exactly. It's not us anymore. And you know, I love it when people slide into our DMs and tell us about their Urban Grape experience. That is me on our Instagram. That still is actually me. Our newsletter, that's me. So there are a lot of ways to really interact with us, and we love it. We love talking to our customers all the time.